UFC 249 this past weekend. Lots of great fights, but controversy in the Bantamweight Championship. Petr Yan, Aljamain Sterling didn't go how I expected it to go, and I'm joined by Tony Scungili, my friend, my partner in crime, discussing the UFC. Let's talk about the overall event real quick before we get into this fight. How did you enjoy this event overall?
It was a great card. I had to rewatch it. It was so many things on it that were great that I couldn't really like take it all in at once. And then sometimes you saw things that were amazing, and sometimes you saw what happened in the fight we're going to talk about, like what's going on. I mean, there's probably a story in every single fight between Hans Molenkamp, Megan Anderson getting released, the big fight, the light heavyweight champ, and the the middleweight champ and lightweight champ. But that is not what we're here to talk about in this video. We're talking about who deserves to be the bantamweight champ after that fight, after the controversial knee disqualification from Petr Yan. So let's talk about everything leading up to that fourth round. How did you see this fight going before the controversial fourth round started? So the fact that it had to go to championship rounds, like 4, meant that, like, even though Peter was in pretty decent control of the fight, I still think that Aljamain was doing well enough that he had a chance. He had a chance to get something, and he was playing to his strengths as the fight went on. So I don't think it was very obviously Jan's, but I think, like, if the match had continued, Yan would have won by decision. I don't think it wouldn't have been unanimous because he just seemed to be in such control, but I think that he wasn't completely outclassed. It was a decent fight. Yeah,
I think it was pretty close. The betting line was really close. I think that when the judges' cards, 2 of the judges had Yan up, but 1 of the judges had Sterling up. And I saw Sterling actually, for me, I thought Sterling won the first and then Yan controlled after that. But regardless, the fourth round is where all the stuff happened. So describe to me what happened, the sequence leading up to the big knee.
So for what we've heard, and what we saw, the ref told Yan that he was grounded. He had one knee on the ground. I don't know if there was a miscommunication, if he didn't hear it. Yan asked his corner, "Do I strike?" And the corner responded with yes. Yan then threw a knee to a downed opponent. Incredibly dangerous. A knee is always dangerous, but to a downed opponent, to a defenseless opponent, it's basically an assault at that point. And Aljamain was out. Concussed, done. So it was illegal knee that was thrown. There's no one arguing that it wasn't an illegal knee. The question was whether or not he intentionally threw an illegal disqualifying knee. And that's where you could debate all day, every day. And whatever happened. He was disqualified. The winner of that match, as should have been named, was Aljamain Sterling. The problem is that he also got the belt. Well, I think that's a very, very bad precedent if he does not win the belt. He has to win the belt, or champions in the future, they're losing, boom, put a thumb in the eye, do a groin shot or something, and I'm the champion again. But here, when the strike happened, we saw we heard Khabib saying, hey, his corner was telling him to knee. Later, the footage comes out of his corner saying knee in Russian and yelling at him, and he did knee him and gets disqualified. Now, Mark Smith goes over to Aljamain Sterling at that point, ask him if he should continue. At that point, I think it should just be done. He should have said, this disqualification, and the fight is over. What did you think? Should Mark Smith went over to Aljamain Sterling, putting in the fighter's hands and say, do you want to continue, or should the fight have been done at that point? I think they did everything right. I think you're supposed to see if the fighter, because he took an illegal hit, but it could have been less impactful than it was. You know what I mean? And for the record, I do think giving them the opportunity to fight is something that's good. But at the same point, when you call the doc in, the doc's got to make the call first. So the doc knew he was in La La Land. He was sleeping. He couldn't stand. That fight was not going on. Even if that dude is like, yeah, I got this. The second he couldn't stand up, that was the point. If you want to risk your life and limb to do this, you're already risking your life and limb going into the fight. I don't think it's that ridiculous. But give him the option, but you also have veto power. Once you call the doc in to check, once you knew that was it, hey, I'm going to disqualify him. Do you want to fight? Like, that was illegal. Do you want to fight? If you can't answer that, the answer is you can't answer that. So the fight's over. You know, I think it was fine to ask. I think I saw nothing but respectable responses from Aljamain from that point to the interview. Like, everything he did, I was like, I agree. I agree with him and how he feels about it. So, but yeah, I think that fight needed to be stopped. Giving them the option to talk about it was another way of just testing to see if he was able to make that decision. And clearly he wasn't, if that makes sense.
And it's obviously not the way he wanted to win the fight, not the way he wanted to win the championship. You know, he drops the belt, walks off, and just, you know, drops to his knees and goes to the fetal position and starts crying because it was very emotional at that time. So, what do you at this point? I'm not even sure how to react at this point because, you know, have we ever seen a championship change hands on a disqualification before?
Not in UFC.
I don't remember seeing one.
I could hear maybe from something like Strikeforce, but like I've never seen it in UFC. You know, 230, I've watched 200 of them. Never once seen that happen. So I gotta say, man, like, I agree. Like, one thing I'm gonna say that I stand is, like, Peter Yan is no longer the champion. If you're the champion and you get disqualified, you don't get to be the champion anymore. The championship is more than just your ability to fight. It comes with it a certain degree of stature, status, and you have to act like a champion.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen titles strictified from people before. Stripped. That's better.
Okay.
We've seen people who acted poor, like John Bones Jones, like, cheated. I don't know, one of his 75 DUIs or something. Like, he had his title stripped. You know, he got popped for
PEDs against Cormier. Cormier wins the light heavyweight championship, and like, little different circumstance because, you know, the fight was actually done, but
when you get disqualified, like, this isn't pro wrestling at the end of the day. You know, like, this isn't like a show that people put on. So we're not going to say, like, you retained the title because of a low blow. Like, no. If you get disqualified, it's usually intentional. There's very few things, like, you can catch someone in the balls a couple times and they'll still be like, hey, watch out. You know, like, these things happen. You could fight a little dirty and still get away with it in UFC. Actually, if you remember OG UFC, they used to just punch each other in the dick all the time.
The Joe-san. Yeah. The rules have been made since then.
Rules have changed, and if you're getting disqualified, it's almost like you knew better most of the time. And to be fair, I think Peter Yan should have known better. I don't think Peter Yan should be the champion after doing that. I agree. That belt does not belong around his waist. Give him another opportunity to get it down the line. That's fine. But he's no longer. He didn't act like a champion. He fought well, and then in the aspect of losing the fight through disqualification, he lost it. It's over.
Yeah, I mean, for me, whether it was intentional or not intentional, whether he was winning up until that point, it doesn't matter. He cheated. He broke the rules, and disqualification, not champion. Now, there's a little bit going back and forth on social media because Sterling was shown partying after, showing the belt, and Yan is getting into it a little with him, saying, hey, I'm glad you've recovered from it and could be the champion now. And Sterling taking a little bit of heat in just with the MMA community. Do you think some of that heat is justified, or it's not his fault? He didn't do the illegal knee. He didn't cheat.
There's a word that we use in fighting called undisputed.
Mm-hmm.
Undisputed usually means that no one can dispute your claim.
Okay.
I don't think that Aljamain is the undisputed champion right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he is. I think the dispute is he did not win the title. His opponent lost the title. And you can make that argument for a lot of fights.
That's fair.
If this is what I see, right? And he knew that too. Like, he dropped the belt. He said in the interview with Joe, he was like, guys, like, this is not the way. Like, it doesn't feel good. He knows. Yeah. Whether he's holding the belt because Dana White told him, you're the champion, act like it. Like, whatever that reason is, he's playing the game. He has a job. This is a job for him. Like, he has to play the job. He knows. No one has to tell out. He's his biggest critic on this, right? He's like, I wanted to win the belt. I didn't want to have the belt. If I wanted to have the belt, I would have stolen the belt. He wanted to win the belt.
It means nothing if you if you have a belt. It doesn't mean it. You have to win a belt. But yeah, he's the champ. But interesting thing, if we go to UFC website right now, boom, we see Aljamain Sterling. No championship belt. Khabib retired. He still has one on the UFC website. All these guys are shown with their championship. Only one that's not is Aljamain Sterling. And I guess because Jan lost the belt to him, and like you said, Sterling did not win the belt. So what do you think is next? We see some rankings here. Corey Sandhagen fighting up there. We hear talk of Cejudo wanting to come back. We hear talk of TJ Dillashaw coming off his suspension. What do you think's next? Do we run this back? There's talk of Aljamain wanting to fight Cejudo if Cejudo's coming back. Is this the fight to make, and then Sandhagen and Dillashaw, or do we involve Cejudo somehow if he wants to come back? What do you see next for both of these guys?
So it's too soon to put Jan and Sterling. Okay, so let me just, before we go into that, I don't think there should be a champion right now. I think the belt's vacated. In my mind, there shouldn't be a champion. That's how I see it. Like, there isn't. Like, Aljamain has a belt that he got because of a rule. You know, he didn't win the fight. He didn't win by TKO. He didn't win by knockout. He didn't win by decision. He won because a rule was broken, and they didn't have a rule about belt transfers because they never had to, because it's never come up.
I don't think they need to, though. If someone cheats, I mean, we look at normally when someone's cheating, it's because they're losing. This is a rare instance that someone that I feel was winning the fight. You know, one of the judges didn't feel he's winning the fight, but I feel he was winning the fight and does that knee. You know, we've seen instances of, Mike Tyson biting people's ears off. We've seen instances of Ben Johnson, Carl Lewis. Oh, yeah. Carl Lewis recognized the Olympic champion, even though Ben Johnson technically beat him, but he cheated to beat him. So Carl Lewis is a champion. So that's how it is in other sports. I think he does deserve to be the champion. Did he win it? No. But he is the championship. He is the champion. It's not his fault. What do you think there should be some punitive action for Jan? Most of the time when someone's disqualified from a fight, you get the commission going in and looking into it. Why has nobody looked into it at this point? Why has the commission not stepped in and say, hey, you cheated? We need to investigate why this happened.
I think they know. Like, the information's there. We know. If we know, like, we've heard it. We saw it. I don't know. This entire thing is crazy. I don't want to take anything away from Aljamain. Like, I think he's a great fighter, and I think he did well. Like, during the fight, he did the best he could. I think he was outclassed a little bit. I think Peter Yan deserved to be the champion when he went into the match. But at the same time, it's not like this division is two people. You know, this isn't Nunez. You know, like this isn't Nunez just murdering people.
We'll save that for another video. We'll save that for another video.
Like, this division is full of people. If I saw things the way that they I could have. Jan gets disqualified, drops the belt, right? Period. And then Aljamain becomes the #1 contender for a vacated title, and he fights, I would say, #2 Sandhagen. And that's what I see making sense, because that's how it should go. Eventually, Peter Yan would get a chance back at his belt because he will win the fights, or the belt, not his belt.
He should, yeah.
So, like, providing he can continue to win fights, he should still be able to get that. But he shouldn't be the champion. And I don't mind Aljamain being the heir apparent to the belt because of what happened. But at the end of the day, I don't feel like he's a bantamweight champion. Like, I watched the fight. I watched him. He could have been.
He might have turned things around in round 4. He might have turned things around in round 5. He could have been the champion, but
and again, this is a very different conversation. If he's ahead of the fight, you know what I'm saying? Like, if he's winning the fight, and then now see
nobody's
Peter
saying
Yan
anything if he's winning the fight, right? If he's winning,
we're all like, oh yeah, no, absolutely. That's the point. If he was gonna win the fight, if we could see reasonably that he was ahead at the time when it happened, that changes the narrative completely. Yeah. He was likely to win, and because he didn't want to lose, Peter Yan cheated. That's a different story than what actually happened, which is Peter Yan did something stupid. Like, that's what I see. Like, I really don't see a world. Like, he let that dude, he had Aljamain on his back for like 70% of the match, just like turtling up and like running around. He let him get up a couple of times. Like, he was like, whatever, dude, do whatever you want. He was in no fear. The fact I can't see a situation. I don't even see him being frustrated. You know, like, if frustration knee, he was just like, whatever, I'll do this. Yeah. So if Aljamain's the champion, like he first of all concussion protocol. You know, like he's got to do something. Like he's not okay. Yeah. But even if he's acting okay, like he can't fight for a while. They have to put the next fight for the next 3 months. Like within the next 3 months, that fight has to happen.
Which fight do you want to see? You want to see them run back, or you want to see Sterling versus Sandhagen?
What's Sandhagen's schedule like? He has one fight next.
Sandhagen, I thought he just fought. I could be wrong on that one though.
If Sandhagen is 1 week out or so, I think Sandhagen gets the shot. Like he's number 2. We're not counting Jan because Jan needs one cooldown fight. If he wins that fight, we can make a conversation. But like Aljamain has to defend. He has to win the match. You know, like right now he is the disputed champion. If he can defend it once, he is the undisputed champion. That's the only way this is going to come down.
So if he fights Sandhagen or Dillashaw or somebody, he wins that fight, you would consider him champion at that time because he has a win.
The same. Like one defense of the belt is enough to be undisputed. Why you got the belt is irrelevant. How many one defense or one win champions have we seen? You can win the belt, be the champion, lose the belt, and then you're gone forever. You know, like so anything could happen. You might have gotten lucky. Once you defend, why you have the belt, we can argue all day. Once you can defend the belt, now you're in a different category. Now you're the undisputed champion. Right now, and it's not just me. Like I see it. A lot of people are disputing whether he's the champion. And it's all opinion. Like according to the rules, he's the champion. That's according to the rules. According to the rules, a lot of things happen and we're like, that's kind of terrible. You know, like the rules change for a reason a lot of times. And this might bring up a change of the rules because of how the fans feel about it. I think give him one chance to win with that belt around his waist. And then we'll be like, cool, okay. Then the fact that he didn't win the belt in a like legitimate way is diminished by the fact that he can defend the belt in a legitimate way, if that makes sense.
Oh, well, I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens if Sterling's going to fight somebody. He's going to defend that belt. Well, we will have to see who it is. Who do you think it should be, guys? Let me know in the comments. Tony Scungili, it has always been a pleasure, my friend. And yes, always. More of these. We're going to do more stuff. There's more stuff on your channel as well.
We're talking about everything.
Links are down below, guys, and I will see you guys next time.